The alien encounter. Leora's heart raced as she navigated the wreckage of her spacecraft. The crash landing had been brutal, alarms blared as she fought to regain control, but the alien atmosphere had overwhelmed her systems. Now, she found herself on a planet unlike any she had ever seen. Lush vegetation glowed in shades of blue and green under a twilight sky. Strange sounds echoed through the air as she stepped cautiously from the remains of her ship. "Stay calm," she whispered to herself, taking a deep breath to steady her nerves. Her mission had been clear, to explore potential new worlds for human habitation, but now it felt like survival was her only objective. As she surveyed her surroundings, Leora noticed movement in the distance. Shadows flitted between the trees like whispers in the wind. Suddenly, 3 figures emerged from the underbrush, tall beings with elongated limbs and skin that shimmered like polished metal. Their eyes glowed softly in hues of violet. "Identify yourself," one of them commanded in a deep voice that resonated through the air. "I'm Leora," she replied quickly, raising her hands in a gesture of peace. "I'm a researcher from Earth. My ship crashed here." The leader stepped forward, a striking figure with intricate patterns etched into his skin. "I am Tarek," he announced. "This is our territory. You have trespassed." Leora swallowed hard but maintained eye contact. "I mean no harm. I just need to find a way back home." Tarek narrowed his eyes but gestured for his companions to lower their weapons. Zynar, a medic with delicate features and an air of curiosity, and another warrior whose name Leora did not yet know. "Why should we trust you?" Zynar asked cautiously. "Because I can help," Leora replied earnestly. "I'm trained in medicine and biology. If you have any wounded or sick creatures here." Before she could finish her sentence, a loud roar echoed through the forest. The sound sent shivers down her spine. It was primal and fierce. The aliens exchanged glances filled with concern. "What was that?" Leora asked. "A predator," Tarek said grimly. "It hunts our kind." Leora felt a pang of sympathy for whatever creature was out there suffering or struggling for survival. "If it's injured." "It is not our concern," Tarek interrupted sharply. "But it could be suffering." Leora insisted, feeling an urgency rising within her. Zynar looked conflicted as he glanced at Tarek. "We do not heal predators," he stated flatly. "Why not?" Leora pressed on, frustration creeping into her voice. "Every life deserves care." Tarek's expression hardened as he regarded her with skepticism. "You are an outsider who does not understand our ways." Leora took a step closer to them despite their imposing presence. "Then teach me. Show me why you believe that way." For a moment, silence hung thick in the air as Tarek considered her words. Finally, he turned away slightly before speaking again. "Follow us," he commanded reluctantly. As they walked deeper into the forest, Leora couldn't shake off the feeling that this was more than just an encounter between species. It was a clash of ideologies, a battle between instinctual survival and compassion that would define their interactions moving forward. The forest opened up into a clearing where they found an injured creature lying on the ground, a large beast with scales that shimmered like gemstones under the bioluminescent plants surrounding it. Its breathing was labored, it seemed unable to move due to an injury on its flank. Leora rushed forward instinctively but halted when she saw Tarek's wary gaze fixed on her. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "I'm going to help it," she declared firmly. Tarek stepped closer to block her path. "That creature is dangerous. It's hurt." Leora argued passionately. "It needs care." Zynar observed silently from behind Tarek as if caught between two worlds, the duty to protect his kind and the instinctual urge to help another being in pain. Tarek shook his head slowly but didn't move further to stop her this time. With trembling hands, Leora knelt beside the creature and assessed its injuries carefully. She could see how deep the wound was, it would require immediate attention if there was any hope for survival. "What are you doing?" Zynar finally asked softly as he stepped closer to examine the creature himself. "I'm going to clean its wound and apply some salve," Leora explained while rummaging through her emergency medical kit, a small device designed for human use but adaptable enough for other species if necessary. "You cannot do this alone," Zynar said hesitantly after observing her efforts for several moments longer than expected. Leora looked up at him with gratitude shining in her eyes. "Will you help me?" Reluctantly nodding his head, Zynar moved closer and began assisting her by holding back the creature's flailing limbs while she worked diligently on cleaning its wound. Tarek watched them both, his expression unreadable, as they worked together despite his initial resistance toward helping what he deemed an enemy species. As they bandaged up Kira, the name they decided upon for the predator, Leora felt something shift within Tarek's demeanor. Perhaps it was curiosity or perhaps even admiration for this strange human who dared challenge everything he believed about survival instincts versus compassion. When they finished treating Kira's injury just as dusk began settling over this vibrant world around them, the stars twinkling above like distant lanterns, Leora took a step back and sighed deeply in relief at seeing the creature resting comfortably now rather than writhing in pain moments earlier. "We did it," she whispered breathlessly while wiping sweat from her brow before turning toward both aliens standing beside her, their expressions still uncertain yet softened somewhat by witnessing such an act of kindness unfold before them against all odds possible given their cultural differences present here today. Tarek finally spoke after what felt like an eternity had passed since they first arrived at this clearing earlier today, filled with tension lingering heavily throughout every moment shared thus far between them all. "This changes everything," he murmured quietly under his breath, a hint of wonder creeping into his voice as realization dawned upon him slowly yet surely about what true care meant beyond mere survival instincts alone. And so began their journey together, one filled with challenges ahead yet also brimming with possibilities waiting patiently just beyond reach if only they dared venture forth into unknown territories waiting patiently beyond those shimmering stars above. The Predator's plight. As dawn broke over the alien landscape, Leora awoke to the soft sounds of rustling leaves and distant calls of creatures greeting the new day. The clearing where they had treated Kira, the injured predator, was bathed in a warm, ethereal light, illuminating the vibrant flora surrounding them. Leora stretched and felt a sense of purpose wash over her. Today she would continue to care for Kira and perhaps begin to bridge the gap between her world and that of Tarek and Zynar. She rose to find Tarek and Zynar already awake, engaged in a quiet conversation. Their expressions were serious, but Leora sensed a shift in their demeanor since their initial encounter. They had witnessed her compassion firsthand, and it seemed to have sparked something within them. "Good morning," Leora greeted them cheerfully as she approached. "Morning," Tarek replied, his tone less brusque than before. "Kira is stable but still weak. She needs more care." "I know," Leora said, her heart swelling with determination. "I'll check on her now." As they walked back to where Kira lay resting, Leora's mind raced with thoughts about how to help the creature regain its strength. She had read about various alien species during her training. Some were resilient, while others required specific environmental conditions to heal properly. It was crucial to understand Kira's needs if she was to survive. When they reached Kira, Leora knelt beside the creature, gently examining the bandages she had applied the previous night. The wound looked better than she had expected, but it still needed attention. She pulled out her medical kit again and began cleaning the area around the injury. "Why do you care so much for this creature?" Zynar asked softly, his voice filled with curiosity. Leora paused for a moment, considering her response. "Because every life is valuable," she said earnestly. "Whether it's human or alien or anything in between, we all deserve compassion. This creature is suffering, and I can help." Tarek watched her intently, his expression thoughtful. "But it is a predator," he replied slowly. "It hunts our kind." "Yes," Leora acknowledged, "but right now, it's not hunting anyone, it's in pain." Helping it doesn't change what it is, it shows that we can choose empathy over fear. Zynar nodded slowly as he processed her words. Your perspective is different from ours, he admitted. Different can be good, Leora replied with a smile. It opens us up to new possibilities. As they continued to care for Kira throughout the day, Leora shared stories of Earth, of humans who had rescued animals from dire situations and how those acts of kindness had changed lives. Tarek and Zynar listened intently, their initial skepticism slowly giving way to intrigue. After several hours of tending to Kira's needs, applying ointments and ensuring she was comfortable, Leora noticed a change in the predator's demeanor. Kira seemed more alert now, her breathing steadier as she opened her eyes slightly. Look! Leora exclaimed excitedly. She's waking up. Tarek stepped closer, his expression shifting from caution to cautious hope as he observed Kira's movements. Zynar leaned down beside Leora, his eyes wide with wonder. Kira blinked slowly as if trying to comprehend her surroundings. When she caught sight of Leora tending to her wound, a low growl rumbled deep within her throat, a sound that sent a shiver through Tarek and Zynar. Stay calm, Leora whispered soothingly, holding out her hand in a gesture of peace. You're safe now. To everyone's surprise, Kira turned her head slightly toward Leora's hand and sniffed cautiously before letting out a soft whimper, a sound that seemed almost like gratitude. She recognizes you, Zynar said in awe. Tarek remained silent but watched intently as Leora continued speaking softly to Kira, reassuring her with gentle words while applying fresh bandages around the wound. Hours passed as they nurtured Kira back to health. Each small improvement brought joy not only to Leora but also sparked something within Tarek and Zynar, a realization that perhaps there was more to life than mere survival instincts alone. As evening fell once again over this alien world filled with vibrant colors shimmering under starlit skies above, the trio gathered around Kira who lay resting comfortably now, her breathing steady and calm compared to earlier days filled with pain. I never thought I would feel this way about a predator, Tarek admitted quietly after moments spent contemplating everything they'd experienced together thus far since first meeting just days ago amidst chaos surrounding them all. What do you mean? Leora asked curiously while keeping an eye on Kira who seemed content at last after receiving so much care from them all today. I thought predators were simply threats, Tarek explained thoughtfully. But seeing you care for this one, it makes me question everything I believed about them. Zynar nodded in agreement as he added softly, it is difficult to reconcile our instincts with what we are witnessing here. Leora smiled warmly at both aliens before speaking again, that's exactly why I'm here, to show you that compassion can coexist alongside survival instincts. Tarek looked at her thoughtfully before finally responding, perhaps we can learn from each other. As night enveloped them once more under shimmering stars above, a sense of camaraderie began forming between these three unlikely companions united by their shared experiences surrounding Kira, the injured predator who had unknowingly become their bridge into understanding one another better than ever before. Lessons in empathy. The days that followed Kira's recovery were transformative for Leora, Tarek, and Zynar. The predator, now fully healed, had become a symbol of their evolving relationship, a living testament to the power of compassion and understanding. As Kira regained her strength, she roamed the clearing with a newfound grace, her fierce nature tempered by the care she had received. Leora watched her with a mixture of pride and affection, feeling a bond forming not just with Kira but with Tarek and Zynar as well. One evening, as they gathered around a small fire in the clearing, Leora decided it was time to delve deeper into the lessons she had learned on Earth about empathy and connection. The stars twinkled brightly above them, casting a serene glow over the landscape. Tarek, Zynar, Leora began, her voice steady yet inviting. I want to share something important with you both, something that has shaped my understanding of life and relationships. Tarek leaned forward slightly, his interest piqued. What is it? In my culture, Leora explained, we believe that empathy is essential for coexistence. It's about understanding others' feelings and perspectives, even if they differ from our own. It's what allows us to build bridges instead of walls. Zynar tilted his head, considering her words. But how do you practice empathy? It seems difficult. It can be, Leora admitted. But it starts with listening and being open to different experiences. For example, when I first arrived here, I was afraid of how you would react to me. I didn't know if you would see me as a threat or an ally. Tarek nodded slowly. We were wary of you at first, he confessed. You were an outsider in our territory. And I understood that, Leora continued. But I chose to approach you with kindness instead of fear. That choice allowed us to connect on a deeper level. What if someone does not wish to connect? Zynar asked thoughtfully. Then we must respect their choice, Leora replied gently. But we can still extend kindness without expecting anything in return. Sometimes, just showing compassion can change someone's perspective over time. Tarek looked deep into the fire as if contemplating her words carefully. We have always viewed predators as threats to our survival, he said finally. It is ingrained in us to protect our kind at all costs. Survival is important, Leora acknowledged, but so is understanding the world around us. By recognizing that every creature has its role in the ecosystem, including predators, we can learn to coexist rather than fear each other. Zynar's expression softened as he considered this new perspective. You are suggesting that we can find balance? Yes. Leora exclaimed enthusiastically. Balance is key. Just like how Kira plays an essential role in maintaining the health of this ecosystem by controlling prey populations. At the mention of Kira's name, the predator approached the fire cautiously, her eyes reflecting the flame's flickering light. She settled beside Leora, who instinctively reached out to stroke her sleek flank. See? Leora smiled at Tarek and Zynar. Kira is not just a predator, she is part of this world's intricate web of life. Tarek stared at Kira for a long moment before speaking again. Perhaps we have been too quick to judge based on instinct alone, he admitted slowly. Leora felt a surge of hope at his words. It's never too late to learn, she said warmly. As they continued their discussion late into the night, sharing stories about their respective worlds and cultures, Leora felt a sense of camaraderie growing among them, a bond forged through shared experiences and mutual respect. The following day brought new opportunities for learning and growth. With Kira now fully recovered, Leora proposed an idea that excited her. They would venture deeper into the forest together to explore more about their surroundings and observe how different species interacted within this ecosystem. We can document everything, she suggested eagerly. It will be an opportunity for all of us to learn from nature itself. Tarek exchanged glances with Zynar before nodding slowly. Very well, he agreed. But we must remain cautious. As they set off into the vibrant wilderness, Leora felt exhilarated by the prospect of discovery, not just about the alien world around them but also about herself and her companions. The forest was alive with color and sound. Bioluminescent plants illuminated their path as they ventured further from their clearing. Strange creatures flitted through the air while others scuttled along the ground, each one contributing to the rich tapestry of life surrounding them. Leora pointed out various plants and animals along the way, sharing insights from her studies on Earth about symbiotic relationships and ecological balance. Look, she exclaimed suddenly, pointing toward a cluster of small creatures darting between flowers, tiny beings resembling iridescent hummingbirds but larger than any she had seen before. They are called flirks, Tarek explained as he observed them with newfound interest. They help pollinate our plants. Exactly. Leora replied enthusiastically. Just like bees on Earth. Each creature plays a role in maintaining balance within its environment. Zynar watched closely as one flirk hovered near a flower before darting away again in search of another bloom. This is fascinating, he admitted quietly. As they continued their exploration, they stumbled upon a small clearing where several herbivorous creatures grazed peacefully, a sight that filled Leora with joy. "See how they coexist," she pointed out excitedly. "These creatures rely on each other for safety while also providing sustenance for predators like Kira." Tarek observed intently as he absorbed everything she shared, the interconnectedness of life unfolding before them like an intricate dance choreographed by nature itself. Suddenly, a rustle in the bushes caught their attention. A larger predator emerged from behind the foliage, its eyes locked onto Kira with predatory intent. Leora felt her heart race as she instinctively stepped closer to Kira while Tarek positioned himself protectively in front of her. "Stay back," Tarek warned sharply. But Kira stood her ground, her posture tense yet resolute, facing off against this new threat without fear. Leora watched in awe as Kira let out a low growl that reverberated through the clearing, a sound filled with authority rather than aggression. To everyone's surprise, the larger predator hesitated before backing away slowly, clearly recognizing Kira's strength despite being injured only days earlier. "That was incredible," Zynar breathed in disbelief as he turned toward Leora with wide eyes filled with admiration for both Kira's bravery and Leora's nurturing spirit that had brought them all together here today amidst such danger lurking nearby. "It shows how important it is for us to understand each other," Leora said softly after catching her breath again finally while gazing back at Tarek, whose expression remained thoughtful yet intrigued by everything unfolding around them now. "And perhaps we can learn from this experience as well," Tarek added slowly while glancing back toward where Kira stood proudly now, no longer merely seen as a predator but rather an integral part of their shared journey toward empathy and understanding across species boundaries. The test of loyalty. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the alien landscape, Leora, Tarek, Zynar, and Kira sat together in their familiar clearing. The atmosphere was charged with a sense of unity that had grown over the past few days. They had shared stories, learned from one another, and formed a bond that transcended their differences. Yet, beneath this newfound camaraderie lay an unspoken tension, one that would soon be tested. Leora had noticed a shift in Kira's behavior. The predator was more alert and vigilant than ever, often scanning the surroundings as if sensing an impending threat. Tarek and Zynar had also observed this change but were unsure of its implications. "What do you think is bothering her?" Zynar asked, glancing at Kira, who was pacing restlessly around the clearing. "Predators have instincts that guide them," Tarek replied thoughtfully. "If she feels something is amiss, we should heed her warning." Just as he spoke, a low growl emanated from Kira's throat, causing Leora to instinctively rise to her feet. "What is it, girl?" she murmured, reaching out to calm the creature. Kira stopped abruptly and fixed her gaze toward the dense underbrush surrounding their clearing. Her muscles tensed as she prepared for whatever threat might emerge. "Stay alert," Tarek warned, positioning himself protectively in front of Leora. Zynar followed suit, readying himself for any confrontation. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke through the stillness of the evening air. From the shadows emerged a group of alien creatures, predators of their own kind, slender and agile with sharp claws glinting in the fading light. They were unlike anything Leora had seen before, their eyes glowed with an eerie luminescence as they approached with cautious intent. "Get back!" Tarek shouted as he stepped forward, brandishing a makeshift weapon he had fashioned from a fallen branch. Leora's heart raced as she recognized the potential danger. "Wait. They might not be hostile," she pleaded, trying to maintain control over the situation. But Tarek was already on high alert. "They are predators. We cannot trust them." The lead creature let out a series of clicks and growls, sounds that resonated with an unsettling familiarity. Kira responded instinctively, stepping forward to confront the intruders with a fierce growl of her own. Leora felt torn between her desire to protect Kira and her belief in understanding and communication. "Tarek. Zynar. We have to try to communicate," she urged. Before they could respond, one of the alien predators lunged toward Kira. In an instant, chaos erupted as Kira defended herself fiercely against her attacker. The clearing transformed into a battleground filled with snarls and roars as both sides clashed violently. "Stop!" Leora cried out desperately, trying to intervene as she watched Tarek engage with one of the other predators while Zynar struggled to fend off another. In the midst of the chaos, Leora spotted an opportunity, a chance to reach out to Kira and remind her of their bond. "Kira! Remember me," she shouted over the noise. Kira hesitated for just a moment at Leora's voice before redirecting her focus back to defending herself against her aggressor. But Leora could see that Kira was struggling with her instincts, caught between her nature as a predator and her connection to Leora. "Please. Trust me," Leora implored again, moving closer despite the danger surrounding them. Tarek fought valiantly but was quickly overwhelmed by multiple attackers. Zynar was holding his ground but looked exhausted from defending against relentless strikes. "Leora! Get back!" Tarek yelled breathlessly as he struggled against two predators at once. But Leora pressed forward until she was close enough to reach Kira. "You don't have to fight. We can find another way," she urged while extending her hand toward Kira's flank. In that moment of connection, amidst chaos, Kira paused once more and turned her attention toward Leora's voice. The predator's fierce demeanor softened slightly as if recognizing the bond they had forged through care and compassion. Suddenly, Kira let out a powerful roar that echoed through the clearing, a sound that startled both Tarek and Zynar momentarily but also commanded respect from the other predators who hesitated in their advance. "Now!" Leora shouted, sensing an opening for resolution amidst the turmoil. "We need to show them we mean no harm." With renewed determination, Leora stepped between Kira and the other predators while holding out her hands in a gesture of peace. "We are not enemies," she declared firmly but calmly. The lead predator paused its advance and tilted its head curiously at Leora's unexpected display of bravery. It exchanged glances with its companions before letting out a series of clicks that seemed more inquisitive than aggressive. Tarek and Zynar watched in disbelief as Leora continued speaking softly yet confidently to these creatures, her voice steady despite the tension lingering in the air around them all now. "We can coexist," Leora continued passionately. "We are not here to harm you or your territory." The lead predator took a cautious step forward while maintaining its defensive posture, but it no longer seemed intent on attacking. Instead it appeared intrigued by this human who dared challenge everything they believed about survival instincts alone. In that moment of vulnerability shared between them all, the realization dawned upon everyone present, perhaps there lay hope for understanding across boundaries previously thought insurmountable. As silence fell over the clearing once more, the only sounds remaining were those of labored breathing from both sides. Tarek finally lowered his weapon slightly while exchanging glances with Zynar, who nodded slowly in agreement. "We can learn from each other," Tarek said quietly after moments spent contemplating everything unfolding before them now. Leora smiled gratefully at him before turning back toward Kira, who stood protectively beside her, their bond stronger than ever before amidst uncertainty lingering still just beyond reach. The lead predator stepped closer again, its demeanor shifting further away from hostility toward curiosity, and for what felt like eternity they stood there together, united by shared experiences surrounding empathy forged through struggle against instinctual fears present within every living being. A new beginning. The tension in the clearing gradually dissipated as Leora, Tarek, Zynar, and the alien predators stood together, united by a moment of understanding. The lead predator, once an aggressor, now regarded them with curiosity rather than hostility. Leora felt a surge of hope. Perhaps this was the turning point they needed to foster a new relationship between their species. "Let's not waste this opportunity," Leora said, her voice steady. "We can show them that we mean no harm and that we seek to understand each other." Tarek nodded, still cautious but willing to follow Leora's lead. "What do you suggest?" Leora took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. We need to communicate our intentions clearly. If they can understand us, we can begin to bridge the gap between our worlds. Xynar stepped forward, his eyes bright with determination. I can try to mimic their sounds. Perhaps it will show them that we are not just speaking in human language. That's a great idea, Leora exclaimed. But let's also use gestures and body language. Communication isn't just about words, it's about conveying feelings and intentions. As they prepared for this delicate interaction, Kira remained close to Leora, her presence reassuring amidst the uncertainty. The lead predator watched intently, its glowing eyes reflecting the firelight as it tilted its head in curiosity. Leora began by kneeling down to appear smaller and less threatening. She extended her hands slowly, palms up, a universal gesture of peace. We come in peace, she said softly, hoping the tone of her voice would convey sincerity. Xynar joined her on the ground and began to produce low clicks and whistles, sounds reminiscent of those made by the lead predator earlier. Tarek observed closely, ready to intervene if necessary. The lead predator responded with a series of clicks and growls that echoed through the clearing. Leora felt a mix of fear and excitement. They were communicating in a way that transcended language barriers. Keep going, she encouraged Xynar as he continued to mimic the sounds. We need to show them we're trying to understand. After several moments of back-and-forth sounds between Xynar and the lead predator, something remarkable happened. The other predators began to relax their stances, lowering their bodies slightly as if acknowledging Xynar's efforts. Look! Tarek whispered in awe. They're responding positively. Encouraged by this development, Leora decided to take another step forward. She reached into her medical kit and pulled out a small piece of dried fruit, a snack she had brought from Earth. Holding it out in front of her, she spoke gently, "This is food. We share it with you." The lead predator sniffed the air cautiously before stepping closer, its eyes locked onto the fruit. With careful movements, Leora placed the offering on the ground between them. To her delight, the lead predator approached slowly and took the fruit in its jaws before retreating slightly to observe them all again. See? Leora smiled at Tarek and Xynar. Food is a universal gesture of goodwill. As they continued their exchange, sharing sounds, gestures, and small offerings, the atmosphere shifted from one of tension to one of curiosity and mutual respect. The predators began to mirror some of their actions. They lowered their bodies further and emitted softer sounds in response. After what felt like hours of communication filled with tentative gestures and cautious exchanges, Leora felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. They had begun to forge an understanding, a bridge built on empathy rather than fear. As night enveloped them fully under a canopy of stars twinkling above like distant beacons of hope, Leora turned toward Tarek and Xynar with excitement bubbling within her chest. This is just the beginning. If we can connect with them here today, imagine what else we could achieve together. Tarek nodded thoughtfully as he gazed back toward where Kira stood protectively beside Leora, their bond stronger than ever before amidst uncertainty lingering still just beyond reach. Days turned into weeks as they continued their collaborative efforts, working tirelessly alongside these alien predators who had once been viewed solely as threats but were now becoming allies through shared experiences surrounding empathy forged through struggle against instinctual fears present within every living being. Leora documented everything meticulously, creating records not just for herself but also for future generations back on Earth who might one day seek out other worlds filled with life beyond imagination itself. Together they discovered new ways to communicate, using gestures combined with sounds that transcended language barriers while also sharing knowledge about each other's ecosystems, the delicate balance required for survival amidst challenges faced daily by all living beings present here today. As time passed, the bond between humans and aliens grew stronger, transforming into something beautiful, a testament that compassion could indeed bridge divides previously thought insurmountable. One evening during their regular gathering around the fire, Leora proposed an idea that had been brewing within her mind since first arriving here. What if we create a council? A place where both our species can come together regularly, to share knowledge about our worlds? Tarek's eyes lit up at this suggestion while Zynar nodded enthusiastically alongside him. That could be beneficial for all involved. We can learn from one another while fostering understanding across boundaries previously thought impossible. And so it was decided, a council would be formed, a new beginning marked by collaboration rather than conflict, a space where both humans and aliens could unite under shared goals while embracing differences present among them all. As they sat together beneath shimmering stars above, their hearts filled with hope for what lay ahead, the realization dawned upon everyone present: together they could achieve greatness, not just for themselves but also for future generations who would inherit this newfound legacy built upon empathy forged through struggle against instinctual fears present within every living being.